Boston Strong. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show, Only 5-0, and we are now officially live as we are every Thursday. I am here, and Dawkins is here, and ow, ow, what the hell was that? I like cracked my neck or something.
Oh,
And
man.
we'll try to get Toxin here as well, obviously, but um, we'll start off the show like we do every show. Oh, by the way, what's coming up? We're going to talk NBA playoffs, coaching firing. Some don't make sense, and we're also going to be touching on the NFL draft a little bit and some other stuff as well. So let's start by talking about our weeks. I guess Dawkins, how was your week this past week, man?
Man, week has been good, man. Week has been really good. We bought the kids some new shoes. That was a big deal. They needed some new shoes, so we bought them 2 pairs of shoes each. So that's 6 pairs total for a grand total of a lot of money. And then on top of that, man, I bought myself a present. That was MLB The Show for the PlayStation 4. That game is freaking awesome. If you are a sports fan, even if you are a casual sports fan, even if you don't really like baseball, pick that game up and it will show you what sports games are supposed to be like, in my opinion, man. So my week has been cool. Excited about playing the show. How's your week been? Living from 5-0.
Man, my week has been awesome, pretty much. Like you said, the show came out and it's awesome, and I can't believe that it took me so long to get on this bandwagon, which is the PlayStation Network, I guess you can call that. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, not much has been going on. My brother smashed up. Well, he didn't smash up but he hit my car. So that
With
happened
what?
with his car.
Was your car parked?
Yes, my car was parked. He hit that. What else did he do? Oh, he broke the light switch in our bathroom. So now we don't have a
Dang.
light.
Yo,
Um,
you said that he's going to the gym, so is he like on steroids or something? Like he ain't all the way there no more?
I don't know what's going on with that guy. He definitely drinks a lot of protein and stuff like that. I don't know. I think he like slips in a little bit of crack cocaine or something.
Man, he
Um,
be on those protein shakes, huh?
yeah, he's one of those protein guys. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that happened, and then he left his dishes in the sink and just expected them to disappear. You know, it's like he just expects that the mommy's gonna come over and do the dishes, and it doesn't make any sense. So what I did was I left them there, and then I was like, oh man, he's not gonna do them. He's not gonna do them. He's not gonna do them. So I go over there, and he didn't do them obviously, and there's like mold everywhere, and there's like dishes from like 2 months ago that he just left
Yeah.
there. Oh my gosh!
Ew.
Now it stinks in our living room. So you know I've definitely had an interesting week to say the least.
He couldn't
But
be my roommate.
dude, September cannot come soon enough. But
I got love for your brother too, but he couldn't be my roommate.
no, much love, but yes, could not be. He's definitely a hard roommate. But hey, you know what? I'll talk to him tonight, and hopefully we can like figure that out. But anyway, let's jump right in
Deserved.
the NBA playoffs. And let's talk about the early things that have happened so far in the series. Let's talk about the San Antonio series, man. Portland, not looking good so far, man.
Yeah, Portland is a very young team, so the inexperience is gonna come, to the front or whatever, or to come to fruition. But at the end of the day, the biggest issue is their bench. They lack a bench. That's going to be the totally difference, or the big difference of this series. San Antonio, they have written their bench all year. They didn't have one starter average 30 minutes per any game throughout the whole season. That's amazing. They have the number one scoring bench. Portland, on the other hand, has the ranked the lowest when it comes to their bench scoring. They are last in bench scoring and stuff like that. So it's going to come down to the bench. Damian Lillard has tremendous offensive ability. He's from Oakland, representing Northern Cali. Also got Aldridge. also got Aldridge. I just think that San Antonio is going to be too much for them, and I think San Antonio is going to win it probably in 6. And yeah, they're going to be off to the conference finals.
Ooh, yeah. It's a case of, like you said, veteran leadership against very young players.
Hmm.
Um, it's I mean, there's nothing really more that I can say besides that. I mean, obviously, we're going to see what happens in the in the games to come. But so far, Tony Parker looks like an MVP,
Absolutely.
which is scary for Lillard because he definitely had the advantage in the last series. Who'd they play?
They played the Rockets. The
The
Rockets.
Rockets. Yes, he had an advantage against Patrick Beverly for most of the time, and then even when they had James Harden on him, he had an advantage there as well. I feel so it's going to be a little bit different for him to adjust to that. And man, Tim Duncan, Jesus, man, this guy is like 20 billion years old and he's still producing at a high level. It's so amazing to see him play well. And Leonard as well is also stepping up and playing really well. And Splitter, unbelievable. Like he may be the MVP of this whole series or in the playoffs so far. So he's playing really well. So it's really going to take a huge effort from Lopez. I think Lopez is going to need to produce more offensively and kind of like get at Splitter and get him into foul trouble because I think that the Tim Duncan and Aldridge matchup is kind of going to be tight. So
I mean, if I'm Portland, I'm putting Matthews on Tony Parker, and I'm putting Damian Lillard on Leonard, in my opinion, because Leonard's not going to be doing much as far as driving and stuff like that. He's going to be more of a spot-up shooter, and that would take some of the pressure off of Lillard on the defensive side.
Yeah, maybe.
It would. You don't want your – I mean, Damian, he's out there to run the offense and get points. He's not there to be a shutdown point guard, shutting down the other team's point guard and stuff like that. So put Wesley Matthews on Tony Parker and then see what can happen. Because you can't do the same thing that you did in Game 1 and Game 2, or you're just going to be kicking yourself in the butt the whole series.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on and let's talk about let's not talk about the Brooklyn series until last. Well, I guess we can talk about it now. Brooklyn versus Miami. Brooklyn got blown out by Miami. A complete disaster. Jason Kidd in about the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter decided to rest his starters because they're tired. All right, they're old and they're tired. So he figured that 8 minutes at the end of the fourth quarter would help them be more alert and be more ready for Game 2, which is tonight. So, but I mean, big red flags for me. Garnett, he sucks. And another big red flag for me was LeBron James and that Paul Pierce. A lot of people were talking about that matchup and possibly Paul Pierce like having that drive to be the best and, you know, saying, hey, LeBron, come get some. Well, LeBron James got a lot of it, and Paul Pierce got nothing. So that's going to be
Paul Pierce?
What?
Who is Paul Pierce? Like, seriously. Like what has Paul Pierce done? Like, seriously.
That's true. He hasn't done anything.
I mean, he won a championship, but the Celtics were stacked. They picked up KG when KG was still good, when KG was still one of the best power forwards in the game. They brought in Ray Allen. You know what I mean? That team was just stacked. You know what I mean? There's no team in the East that could compete with that Celtics team. But besides that, Winnie, what has Paul Pierce really done in his career that says, oh, he's a fantastic basketball player, one of the top 50 players, you know, of a decade or something like that? To me, it's not even close. LeBron James is so far better than Paul Pierce is right now. It's like it's not in the competition. Paul Pierce, he did two things in the series, and that was in the beginning of the series versus the Raptors, hit the game-winning shot, and then at the end of the series versus the Raptors, got a block shot. But in between Game 1 and Game 7, what has he done? Nothing. So this whole hype about, oh, it's going to be like when LeBron James was back in Cleveland and Paul Pierce was back with the Celtics, it's not going to be that way. The Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, they look old, they look tired. We've been saying it all year. If this was the 2002 All-Star team, this would be the best team in the league, but it's not. KG has been a shell of himself ever since, 2009? 2009, KG sucked. He's been sucking for a long time, man. So I don't know what your Nets are gonna do, Living.
Yeah, I mean I really feel bad for Darren Williams because I'm sure
I don't feel bad for him.
When the ownership went to him and said, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put stars by you and we're gonna build a winning team. I'm sure he didn't assume that it was gonna be him and, like, you know, the freaking grandpa parade, because he has been playing so well, and Sean Livingston has been playing so well, and Joe Johnson has been playing so well. These guys are pretty much still in their prime, I guess. I mean, you can make an argument that Joe Johnson is kind of on the ladder for that, but they're definitely still in their prime. And then you have these two bulky, kind of slow old guys trying to keep up, and then you try to bring in somebody off the bench for a little bit of a spark, but Andrei Kirilenko is 50 years old, and then you bring in Plumlee off the bench, and yes, he can provide defense, but he does not have any offense, and they got Andre Blatch, who's really probably our best center, but he never starts because obviously you got to have KG and Paul Pierce starting. So
which is dumb.
Which is dumb. So it's going to be hard for them to come back, and what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to shut down the shooting game of Ray Allen and Shane Battier, because that was a huge problem for us, and it really shows that defense on the perimeter is going to be a problem for us.
LeBron James, he's gonna get to the lane whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, and LeBron James
is not gonna block his shot like he did in that last game of the regular season. Like, it's not gonna happen.
It may, man.
It's not gonna happen. That was a fluke play. That was a 1 in a billion play that happened in the final game of the season versus the Heat. Like, the Nets, again, we've been saying it for a long time. They're very old. You know what I mean? I know it's your favorite team, but at the end of the day, man, like you said, Joe Johnson and D. Will gonna have to play phenomenally just for this team to have a chance.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, guys. All right. So let's move on to the next series, which is the Wizards and the Indiana Pacers. Now, the Wizards won this first one pretty handily. The Pacers, luckily, won the last one from a big game from Roy Hibbert. But other than that, it looks like the Pacers are just, hoping makes them win. Like they're hoping for a win against the Wizards. So what do you think about the Stalkers? Do you think there's any hope for Indiana, or are they just done?
I mean, I think Indiana's done. I really do. I think the Wizards are going to win it in 6. John Wall is a flat-out beast. I mean, the fact that they did do their thing in Game 2 versus the Wizards last night, but it took Roy Hibbert to carry the team. And this is the same Roy Hibbert that in the past 3 out of 4 games, not including last night's game, only scored 13 points. And 13 of those points came in 1 game. So 3 of those games, he didn't score a single point. In Game 1, he did not have a single point or a single rebound. How are you 7 feet tall and you can't get the rebound? How is that possible? You know what I mean? So they got lucky last night. I mean, Paul George, Paul George has been consistent, but it hasn't been consistently good. He's been consistently average, in my opinion. Yes, he might get good stats, but if you look at his numbers, he is shooting the most out of anybody on the team. He does control the ball more than anybody else on the team, so he's going to get his numbers. But the rest of the rest of the team, is not producing at a high enough level to get past the Washington Wizards. If the Nate can be a little bit more healthier than he was, I saw that he got banged up. If he can come back for Game 3 healthy, the crowd in Washington's going to be going crazy. I think Washington's going to take it in 6. Like, I really do.
Yeah. Indiana's done, man. You mentioned it. Roy Hibbert is just – yes, he had a good game, but golly. Like, it's sad to see a man like that not produce, because he's the last of a dying breed, as centers go, and it's hard to say that the Pacers, being such a dominant team early on in the season as well as in the middle of the season, are just going to get destroyed by the Wizards. I don't know if I'll say that, but jeez, Beal and Wall and Nene connection is just absolutely incredible to see. So the Wizards probably will win this, but I think it's going to probably go to 6.
Yeah, I think it's going to go to 6 too. It has a chance to go to 7, but I don't see that happening. 'Cause like you said, Bradley Beal is a flat-out monster, and the fact that John Wall, who probably has as much talent as a Westbrook, much talent as a D Rose, not saying that he's as good as them, but has as much talent and probably could be one day. You know what I mean? He's trying his best to be a true point guard. He's trying his best to set up the offense. He's trying his best to get Bradley Beal involved in the offense. And like if Westbrook could do that, Oklahoma City would be unstoppable. But we can get into that a little bit later.
Yep. All right. We will get into that right now, actually. That's
right
the only
now,
one
let's
we
do
haven't
it.
talked about. So let's talk about the Kevin Durant / MVP Kevin Durant, Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the Los Angeles Clippers, who got past the weak-ass Warriors to get into this position. So,
you gotta go there, man.
Dawkins, what do you think about this series? Who's looking good to you?
To me, the Clippers still look good. I know they lost last night, but to me, it's LA's series to lose, in my opinion. The way that they came out in game one, put their foot on Oklahoma City's throat and just destroyed them offensively, defensively. They just dominated that whole game. Game two, it started off shaky. Chris Paul got in foul trouble. You know what I mean? It was hard for them to set up the offense from that point. But J.J. Redick was flat out balling. Matt Barnes was flat out balling. You don't hear that every day. So if the regular pieces can do their thing, if DeAndre Jordan can dominate the boards and get his putbacks like he does, Chris Paul do what he does, Jamal Crawford do what he does, and of course Blake Griffin, if he can have a bit again the way he did in game two, and you get the play from Matt Barnes and J.J. Redick, this team is going to be tough to stop. I do like OKC. From what I saw in game two, Westbrook played like a true point guard. He did not force up any shots. All the shots that he took to me were good shots, were really good shots in my opinion. But to me, it's going to be that front court. Can Serge Ibaka and Perkins do enough to contain Blake Griffin and Jordan?
Whew, yes.
And as far as my Warriors, we did take them to Game 7 without our starting lineup from the season. Bogut was hurt. He did not play a single game.
Oh, okay. Good.
I'm just saying.
Good to know, my friend. Yeah. Okay. Well, the Lakers were a disappointment in the last game because in the whole Warriors series, they never allowed, or hardly ever allowed, someone to drive into the paint uncontested, and it happened multiple times in the OKC game. And they need to step up their defense, and I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard against Durant. Well, Durant's going to get his points either way. I mean, Westbrook really
can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, Westbrook is going to be the reason why either they win or they lose this series, because as of right now, the advantage inside, offensively and possibly defensively, even though you can make an argument for Perkins and Ibaka, but really the edge has to go to the Clippers. And really, they have to double team Westbrook. If they double team Westbrook and they make Durant beat him, then that will be their only shot. Because we've seen in the past that Durant carrying a team can happen, but it cannot happen when they have Westbrook there. And if you just frustrate Westbrook, Westbrook will demand the ball, and Westbrook will start firing up shots. And that's really the only hope that you have in beating OKC. But yeah, I mean, early on, OKC looks real good. So
they really do.
They really, really do. And hey, I mean, now that they cried together and touched each other and slept in the same bed and freaking all this other stuff, they are brothers, blood brothers.
Yeah. Wait, you said.
What are you doing?
I'm doing me, man. Why you worried about it? Come on, some blood brothers. Shoot, I had to get my mind on something else real quick. I apologize.
It's all good, man. All right. So, yes, that is our quick recap of the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about the NBA coaching firings, I guess. And let's start with a guy that couldn't even get arguably one of the best shooting teams into the next round, the hand-down, man-down Mark Jackson. He got fired from the Golden State Warriors. Now, there are reports that Steve Kerr may jump into that spot. Byron Scott has also been mentioned. What do you think, Dawkins, about the firing?
To me, it wasn't a good move by the Warriors front office, but it was ultimately their decision. they made the choice. Hopefully, we get a coach that's going to help this team become more disciplined, not to turn the ball over, because to me, that was their downfall versus the Clippers in round one of the Western playoffs. So if they can get a coach that's going to be disciplined and make sure that they protect the ball, then that's going to be a plus. Mark Jackson, though, he did lead them to 51 wins, which to me, I believe, is the highest total that the Warriors have ever had for a single season. He also got them back to the playoffs back-to-back seasons for the first time since 91-92, which is very impressive, and I hope that the front office didn't feel like this team had enough to make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals and hopefully get to the NBA Finals with this roster, because that's not the case. Yes, this team is good, but this team is not great. Yes, maybe having a new coach might bring some new life to this team, but most likely it won't. So at the end of the day, firing Mark Jackson, who got you the most wins in season history, got you to back-to-back playoffs, is not a good move. Bringing Steve Kerr is not going to do anything. Mark Jackson was a mentor to Stephen Curry. Mark Jackson was a mentor to Klay Thompson. He could provide that leadership. I do not see Steve Kerr in a leadership role. Steve Kerr's name is brought up because of Phil Jackson in New York. So just because his name is brought up in New York, people think that Steve Kerr can come in and be a coach. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. How does Steve Kerr
under the collar there, huh?
How does Steve Kerr not be mentioned last year for a coaching job, not mentioned the year prior for a coaching job, but now it's something because Phil Jackson wants him to be his puppet in New York. He's all of a sudden a great coach. He is not. To me, yes, his puppet. Steve Kerr has one chance at an NBA job, and that's in New York. If he doesn't take it, LA is not calling him. Golden State is not calling him. He will not be a coach in the NBA if it's not for the New York position. That's it. So to me, I'm fine with the move because I understand where they're coming from. They might not want Mark Jackson. That's their choice. They are the people in the front office. But to me, it is a bad move.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think it's a bad move as well. For all the reasons that you mentioned, the fact that he's able to connect with the players is something that's very rare, I think, especially when you have a lot of young players that have kind of been thrust into stardom at a very young age. You know, I mean, you think of Stephen Curry becoming a star very early. You think of Klay Thompson kind of riding those coattails and also becoming a star. And then you think of, bringing in a veteran like David Lee and bringing in a veteran like Bogut. And then you bring in an all-star who was a star of another team to this team and actually making them all mesh together. I mean, I think that's something that he was able to do very well and was a little bit underrated. Hearing the comments from the owner and saying that we're moving in a different direction and we're really thankful for everything that he's done is kind of like, well, if you're thankful for what he's done, then why aren't you keeping him around? It's very, I mean, right now, like you mentioned, Dawkins, they need someone who is going to be very disciplined. But at the same time, I feel like Mark Jackson kind of was disciplined a little bit.
Too many people had green lights.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, you didn't see. I mean, one thing that I can say is the comparison between watching the Warriors a couple years ago and watching them exactly with Mark Jackson is, like you said, the green lights. You know, I mean, you would see freaking centers. I remember distinctly seeing like who was it? Al Harrington just fire up threes, like fadeaway threes. You know, and the Warriors being that style of team, they really rely on hot or cold people. It's you gotta need a coach, I guess. Like I said, who is disciplined. But anyway, let's move on. So you mentioned the Knicks. Do you think that what type of coaching do you think would really help Melo there, or do you even think Melo is going to stay in New York?
I think Melo's going to stay. One, it's a good business move, and two, he can really help the Knicks win. He can put his stamp on his NBA legacy if he can get the Knicks to a championship. Be the first time going to the NBA Finals since 1999 when they lost to Steve Kerr, Tim Duncan, and Dave Robinson, those San Antonio Spurs. But the biggest issue is whoever's going to be the coach of the Knicks, they're going to have to develop Phil Jackson's way of thinking and his way of coaching. That's why Steve Kerr is the number one candidate, because Phil Jackson feels like he can mold Steve Kerr into the coach that he wants to coach the New York Knicks. So for me, I like the fact that Steve Kerr's name is mentioned. I think Melo should stay. He can get a bigger contract with the Knicks. With the new CBA, he will actually lose money by leaving the Knicks. So I think it would be a good idea for him to stay, money-wise, business-wise, and for his legacy. If you go to L.A. and team up with Kobe, it's hard to say that you're better than any of the players that dominated in the 90s. It's hard to say that with LeBron James. I could see LeBron James. He has the most talent out of any NBA player I have ever seen. But it takes a certain player to be Michael Jordan. It takes a certain player to put a team on his back when the talent is not always the best around him and still win multiple championships. For me, when you have to team up with another all-star, when you have to team up with another Hall of Famer, then to me, it diminishes your legacy as far as being a player.
Well put, man. Very, very well put. The Knicks are a disaster. And like you said, for a business move, it's a good move for him. But in terms of creating a legacy for himself and being mentioned as one of the top players, like you mentioned, he's going to have to get out of New York. I think he's going to have to win a championship, because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day about top players in the NBA, and we were comparing Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And I was thinking, well, if Kevin Durant gets bounced out of the playoffs this year after winning the MVP, is even in the same breath as LeBron James, because again, it's kind of like a player that produced in the regular season but never really won the big one. Do you throw him kind of into that Dirk Nowitzki type of basket, or do you go more towards the route of a Ray Allen type of player who was a great shooter, won some championships but was never really there?
The guy, never the guy.
Exactly. You know, because does Durant need a Westbrook? Does Durant need these other players around him?
That's different. No, that's different because Westbrook was drafted by the team, just like Scottie Pippen was picked up by the Bulls. Okay, if LeBron James, if Dwayne Wade goes to Cleveland, or Chris Bosh goes to Cleveland, or Amari Stoudemire goes to Cleveland, it's a little bit different. But when you have to leave your team to team up with two other future Hall of Famers just to win a championship, to me it diminishes your legacy. That's all I'm getting at. I feel like Carmelo Anthony is one of the best players in the NBA today. Does he need a championship? Absolutely. But if he goes and teams up with another future Hall of Famer, teams up with somebody who might be better than him, then to me it's going to diminish his legacy.
So let's say that Carmelo Anthony goes to Cleveland and teams up with a very good point guard. And they make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be, to me, that's different because Kyrie Irving still hasn't put his stamp on the NBA. Yes, he's a very good point guard, but so is Damian Lillard, so is Stephen Curry, so is Chris Paul, so is Tony Parker, so is Westbrook. There are a lot of good point guards. To me, when I guess what I'm saying is LeBron James couldn't win it by himself, so he teamed up with somebody who already won a championship in Dwayne Wade. You know what I mean? To me, Kyrie Irving hasn't won a championship, obviously. He hasn't even got the Cleveland Cavs to the playoffs. So to me, that situation will be a little bit different. But nobody's talking about him going to Cleveland. They're talking about him going to Chicago. They're talking about him going to the Lakers and teaming up with Kobe Bryant and stuff like that. If he does one of those moves, to me, it diminishes his legacy.
Even Chicago?
Even Chicago. Even Chicago.
Even if not LeBron James, Derrick Rose isn't there.
Well, Derrick Rose is going to be there. Why wouldn't Derrick Rose be there?
Because I foresee him coming back and getting hurt again. And if he does get hurt, and if it turns into if it turns into a Melo team,
if it turns into a Melo team with Chicago, they're not going to win anyway.
You don't think so?
No, because again, what is the difference between Chicago and New York right now? If you take Melo off the Knicks.
Joakim Noah.
Okay, Joakim Noah. And what is Joakim Noah? Straight defense. Right?
No, he has some offensive game, and he has
some offense. Yes, he does have some offensive game. His offensive game is going to get you about 13 points. DeAndre Jordan
ability. I mean that's rare in a center.
His what?
His playmaking ability.
Yeah, he does have some playmaking ability. Yes, he does. But that playmaking ability goes out the window with Carmelo Anthony because Carmelo Anthony is an isolation basketball player. Okay, you cannot.
Come on, man.
Yes, That's fact. Okay, your crystal ball says that Derrick Rose is going to get hurt. My crystal ball says that Carmelo Anthony, wherever he goes, is going to demand the ball, isolation, basketball. That's what he does. That's what he does. So to me, if he can find a way to make it work in New York, I say stay in New York. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion.
Okay. Okay, wait, but what about this? Let's say he stays in New York, and let's say that by some strike of luck, the Brooklyn Nets release Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and they join the Knicks as revenge. All right. How does that team look to you?
It looks a little bit better. I think the Knicks do need discipline. I think J.R. Smith is a cancer. I think that they need to get rid of all the bad influence on that team. So getting rid of a Raymond Felton, that would help. Getting rid of a J.R. Smith, that would help. You know what I mean? They need a power forward. I think Kevin Garnett can come and play some defense off of the bench. That would be a good move. I think Paul Pierce off of the bench, that is a good move. To me, when we're talking about Brooklyn and we're talking about New York, to me, there's one thing in common that they both have, and that is a quote-unquote star, Melo and D. Will. To me, Melo is a lot better than D. Will, in my opinion. In my opinion, Melo is almost 10 times better than D. Will. I don't see the same heart that Melo has in D. Will. Yes, Melo's team didn't even make the playoffs. Yes, Melo's team, is kind of soft, but to me, that's on the coach. Okay, Melo to me still brought it every single game. Carmelo Anthony was not the reason why they didn't make the playoffs. To me, D. Will with the Brooklyn Nets, to me sometimes he doesn't show that leadership ability, and he's the point guard of the team. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, I think if you bring Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to the Knicks, it's a totally different thing. Because to me, I don't see D. Will carrying a team like Carmelo carried a team in Denver. Okay, this is Carmelo's first time missing the playoffs in his career. First time missing the playoffs in his career. D. Will missed the playoffs a couple of times in his career before going to the Nets.
But don't you think it's different for a point guard? I mean, we think about point guards. It's very hard for a point guard to carry a team.
It's basketball.
The NBA. It is.
It's basketball. No, it's basketball. It's basketball. It's basketball. A center can dominate. A power forward can dominate.
No, stop. You cannot say that a center can carry a team to an NBA Finals.
But wait. Didn't Shaq do that in Orlando?
In the modern.
Hang on. Didn't Shaq do that? Didn't Hakeem Olajuwon do that? Yeah, I'm talking about maybe 20 years ago, but still, basketball has not changed. Now you see a whole bunch of point guards that are demanding the ball. There are not too many. If there was a center today that had game, like they had game back in the day, like Patrick Ewing had game back in the day, like Hakeem Olajuwon had game back in the day, it wouldn't be chucking up all these threes. Dwight Howard is the best center in the league, but he don't got game like Shaq had game. He ain't got game like Hakeem Olajuwon had game. Hakeem Olajuwon every single game was putting up 25 points. Done deal. Okay, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scored the most points in history. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points. We are not seeing 100 points being put up by a small forward. We ain't seeing 100 points being put up by a shooting guard or point guard. We saw it from a big man. Today's NBA, the big men have no game. They rely on their size. They rely, if you're Dwight Howard, you rely on your athletic ability. Okay, Dwight Howard's been in the league for almost 10 years now. Still does not have a post game. Okay, your boy Lopez in Brooklyn, soft. He's soft down low. Let's just be real. He's soft down low. Tyson Chandler, defense. Joakim Noah, defense. All of these centers are soft and they lack an offensive game. The footwork is not there. Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, the 90s was the best era for basketball because you have big men that can score. We are waiting for Dwight Howard to develop a post game. So the point that I was trying to make is that in basketball, you can dominate from any single position because you can get stats. You can get your assists from any position. It's not like football where you have a quarterback. It's not like baseball where you only have 5 pitchers. In basketball, everybody can do what everybody else can do. Can't we? You just said that Joakim Noah is what? A playmaker. Well, I thought your point guard was supposed to be a playmaker. Well, I guess Joakim Noah is a better point guard than Kurt Heinrich, though, right? So at the end of the day, in basketball, a center can score, a center can play defense, but so can everybody else on the court.
Okay, so if you were building a team right now and you had to pick a position, and let's say this position was a star in the NBA and you could rely on 30 points. What do you think would be the best position to build an NBA team if all the rest of the positions were going to be trash? If you could pick a Shaquille O'Neal or something like that, but not the equivalent of a Shaquille O'Neal, obviously, for a point guard. But which position do you think is vital if you were going to build the team and have someone carry the team? A center? You mentioned a lot of centers.
Center. I mean, to me, but it's
if the center was dominant, if he could score 25 points, have 10 plus rebounds, or would you want a point guard that could score 30 plus points and give you 12 assists?
No, I would rather have a center because most of the time if your point guard is getting 30 points and 12 assists, that point guard ain't playing defense. Okay, Mark Jackson is third, or Mark Jackson was third in assists. He wasn't playing no defense. Steve Nash ain't playing no defense. John Stockton ain't playing no defense. So for me, I would rather have a center that could do it all. But if you ask me to build my team, I would have a center like Akeem Olajuwon that could defend the basket, score points, and get rebounds. And I'll have a power forward that's in there like Serge Ibaka just to play defense to kind of protect my center from getting in foul trouble. Then I would want a small forward, kind of like an Andre Iguodala, somebody that could be a playmaker, kind of like in the Scottie Pippen mode. He doesn't have to be a flat-out scorer, but someone that can lock up defensively and be a playmaker offensively.
My shooting, right.
I mean, Scottie Pippen had a decent three-point shot, had probably a good three-point shot, but wasn't a great three-point shot. Wasn't above average. So I just want my small forward to be able to shoot the mid-range consistently, be able to play make, and maybe hit the corner three, because the corner three is a lot easier than any other position around the perimeter. But then, of course, shooting guard got to be able to put up some points, maybe like a Jamal Crawford off the bench, just come in and splash all day long. And then my point guard has to be a leader, has to be a facilitator, does not have to lead the league in assist, because a lot of times when you pass the ball down low and the center's doing all that movement, you don't get an assist for that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, my point guard has to be a leader, has to be fiery, has to have that edge, has to play defense, and you can win a championship.
So a point guard, then would you prefer a point guard that gets you more assists, like a Jason Kidd, or a point guard like a Russell Westbrook, who would get you assists, but also you can rely on him for points and possible leadership, I guess.
If I had to pick a point guard in the NBA today, right now, it would have to be somebody like a John Wall. Because to me, John Wall is very, or maybe even like a Tony Parker. Because they're very disciplined, but they can score at will. They can score at will, but a lot of times they don't choose to. We saw Tony Parker, he dropped like 30 a couple of days ago, or whatever. I mean, amazing. Where did that? You know what I mean? Like where did that come from? You know, the whole season he's passing addition, and then he can just explode. So I want my point guard to be smart. Decision making is the most important thing when it comes to your point guard, because you have point guards that score, and a point guard that scores like a running back in the NFL. Anybody can do that. Anybody can rush for 1,000 yards today. Anybody can score about 10 touchdowns a day in the NFL at the running back position. But I want my point guard not to be a running back, but to be a quarterback, and my quarterback has to make good decisions. So right now, Russell Westbrook is in that mode of still being a running back but being a quarterback at the same time, and his decision-making is not always there.
Faux show, man. All right. It is 6:12 right now, or I guess 4:12 where you are. So we're going to move on. We had a great discussion.
That was good, bro.
Leave comments down below. You guys let us know what position you start with. What do you think is the most vital position? With Dawkins at center, if I had to choose a position that I want to be the most dominant on my team,
if I could clear that up, it wouldn't be center today. If I could get a center from back in the day, that's what I want. But I guess today will be more a power forward, like an Aldridge or like a Blake Griffin, something like that.
Build a team over with a power forward?
Absolutely, because Blake Griffin can do a lot for your team. Because to me, Joakim Noah would be a perfect power forward, but he's the center of the Chicago Bulls. Just think about it. Joakim Noah, you said he can produce offensively, right? Right now, Joakim Noah is a better offensive threat than Carlos Boozer, right? So to me, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Boozer ain't put up no numbers in a while. So to me, I guess I would want a big man, either the 4 position power forward or the 5, the center position, that can score, rebound, and play defense.
So you feel like the 1, the 2, and the 3 are expendable.
Absolutely.
You can find someone to pass the ball and give you 20. You can find somebody like a shooting guard like a
Absolutely.
Jamal Crawford to jump in and give you some points.
Absolutely.
Find
I
a
mean,
small forward.
yeah. I mean, you could find a small forward. I mean, small forward, shooting guard, and point guard to me are being devalued in the NBA just because of the lack of a post presence. So if Anthony Davis for the Pelicans can turn into anything relevant, I think he's the next big man that can turn into something just phenomenal, like him, Cousins in Sacramento. The problem is that those teams don't have the veteran leadership that they need at the point guard position. But Anthony Davis, if Anthony Davis can develop into a 20 and 10 guy, to me he will be one of the most valuable players in the NBA.
Awesome. All right. Well, it is 6:15 now. So let's move on because I want to get this under an hour. So let's finish it up as with talking about the NFL draft really quickly. Obviously, the NFL draft is going to happen tonight. A lot of fans are excited. Some fans aren't. Dawkins is not excited about the NFL draft. Why aren't you excited, my friend?
I mean, I'm a huge football fan, and I think that it's been oversaturated. You know what I mean? It's been too much football, too much mock drafts. I mean, NFL Network has had a mock draft since the combine every single day, and the combine was 3 months ago. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just been so much. I'm just tired of everybody talking. I'm tired of everybody saying Jadeveon Clowney ain't going to turn out to be anything. Oh, I like Johnny Manziel. Oh, Johnny Manziel won't go into the third. I'm like, let's just see what happens. And then when football season comes around, let's see what they can do on the field. So I'm excited for the draft. I'm just tired of everybody talking. And then after the draft, you know what people are going to do? Have their draft grades. They're going to say, oh, this team drafted well. This team gets an A for their. Well, how do we know if this team drafted well? Like, what is this player gonna be? You know what I mean? Like, that, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. I get excited for it because I am a football fan, and this is the biggest draft out of all the major sports for one big reason. College football is used as the minor league system for the NFL, and a lot of us do have a college team that we root for, or at least players that we follow in college and stuff like that. It's different from MLB, you know, with the minor leagues. Not too many people watch minor league baseball and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm excited for it. I just don't care for all of the exposure and the saturation. And now Roger Goodell talking about moving it to a 4th day because now it's 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's 3 days. And I didn't agree with Mark Cuban at first when he said the NFL needs to be careful before, you know, this explodes itself or whatever. Or implodes itself, excuse me. But at the end of the day, Mark Cuban might be right because at this point, 3 days is enough. I don't know how many people actually tuning in for rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday.
People that have no lives are tuning in then.
I'm gonna keep an eye on what my favorite team, the 49ers, are gonna be doing in the draft. But besides that, I could care less because on Saturday, when rounds 4 and 7 are talking about, they're gonna be talking about rounds 1 and 2. And who drafted where. So it's going to be a replay of what already happened. And then NFL Network, peep game on NFL Network, what are they going to do? They're going to do a replay of the draft. They're going to do a replay of the draft. Not a cut up, the whole thing. They're going to redo the draft, the whole draft. It's like, bruh, we saw it. We know who got picked. You don't need to show us the draft again. Like, I love football. But football, I think Mark Cuban might be onto something. It might implode on itself because right now it's too much football for me, and I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
Like I'm loving playing baseball right now.
The show, baby.
The show, baby.
Man. Let me gather my thoughts here. You hit the nail right on the head, man. The NFL is a collection of the best college players in the world. That's what the NFL is. So all of these, like you said, all these mock drafts, all these people saying, well, I watched his pro day. I watched him throw. He has a good mechanical throwing arm. Or Manziel has big hands, so that'll help him in the NFL.
I got big hands.
It's like, what the flip are you talking about? You know, we've seen so many busts. We've seen especially recently, of all the quarterbacks that people thought were going to be okay, one thing that everyone always says about these quarterbacks is, man, that guy, he knows about the game. He's like, he's football smart, and he has that drive to win and stuff like that. And that is such a overused saying, I think, especially when you're talking about a player in the NFL. But anyway, this is what I think should happen. And then I feel like these mock drafts would be more accurate. I think that what they need to do is they need to have, instead of this combine, or they can have the combine, but I think that what the combine needs to be is a real live scrimmage between the top prospects.
So well, then players can get hurt though, so you don't want to do that.
But I don't care because at the end of the day,
you don't care.
I know, of course I don't care, because at the end of the day, that's who you're going up against. Jadeveon Clowney. He's going to go up against a very, very good offensive lineman, the best offensive lineman that on that team, a very good ex-college player. That's how you know. That's how you know.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, that's why these kids go to the schools that they go to. Okay, everybody knows that the SEC is probably the best. It is the best conference when it comes to football in college football. Pac-10 is pretty close. The Big 10 is pretty close. The Big 12 is pretty close, and the ACC is there. That's why last year we had the first player in the history of the draft be drafted from the MAC division in college, because not a lot of talent is in that division. But they also have the East-West Shrine Game and the Senior Bowl and all these bowl games to get the top college prospects in those games to face off one another. But again, to me, it's just the hype train. It's just the hype train. Jadeveon Clowney should be the first player taken in the draft. Johnny Manziel is a first-round talent from what I've seen. But at the, But at the end of the day, it's just too much. It's just too much. I don't care where you think Jadeveon Clowney is going to go. I do not care where you think Johnny Manziel is going to go, because I watched these guys. I watched them play. Are y'all really going to sit here and tell me that Johnny Manziel should get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys? By the Dallas Cowboys. This is what pisses me off with the draft and with all these mock drafts. Why would the Dallas Cowboys take Johnny Manziel? Do we really feel like he's going to be an upgrade from Tony Romo? Do we really feel that way?
Well, we have no idea of knowing.
We have no idea of knowing, but from what we saw in college, do we really feel like he is going to be an upgrade to Tony Romo? I'm going to say probably not. Probably not. Okay? Right now, Dallas, they need an O-line. They can use another receiver besides Dez Bryant. They can use another tight end besides Jason Wynn. They can use a lot of help on defense. So picking Johnny Manziel will be the dumbest thing in the world. So, again, I just want to see the draft. I'm sick of all the talking and all this stuff. I just want the draft to happen.
Just get it over with, man.
Yeah, just get over. So going to 4 days, that could be the dumbest move in NFL history.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you guys for showing up, the people that did. I appreciate it. And now we will end the show. We were very efficient today, Dawkins. We were very efficient today. MLB 14, the show. Oh, dude, unbelievable. That game.
Love this game, dog. I'm about to jump on it right now.
He's addicted, and he's like, this game is making him a bigger baseball fan.
It really is, dog. It really is. It really is. Because I used to play like Ken Griffey baseball and Cal Ripken baseball, triple play, MVP, all that good stuff. But then it kind of fell off for me because of 2K. But now it's back. My love for baseball is back. I actually watched the whole A's game last night. I mean, in the afternoon, yesterday. So, yeah. Go ahead and laugh about it. Go ahead. Go ahead. But I'm turning on my PlayStation 4 right now. So if anybody's on the sticks, well, we can't really play online. That's the one downfall about the show. Online sucks, but besides that, it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'm actually just about to jump on that too. Okay. Well, let's end this as we do every day.
Let's do it.
Every Thursday with a minute to preach it.
Preach it.
Preach it.
I'll go first like always.
No, sir. I'm going first this time.
All right, well, let's see what you got, big homie.
I'm going first this time, man.
Then go first, then, Living.
All right, I'm going first. So a minute on the clock, and here we go. All right, so today I'm going to talk about something that is actually very serious and very disturbing, and I am talking about This isn't even sports related. I'm talking about women that stay in abusive relationships because they are convinced that they are in love with a man, or a man that stays in a relationship with a woman because they are convinced that they are in love with this person. There are a million fish in the sea, and you must love yourself, and you must have enough dignity to know that no one person has the ability to make you feel less than 100%. And I have come into experiences this past week where women have been in abusive relationships, and I'm like, why do you stay with this person if they beat you, if they yell at you, if they put you in the hospital? Well, I know that inside he really does love me. Doesn't make sense, man. Get out of those relationships. Find someone that will love you for who you are. It's a give and take relationship. It's not a taking abuse relationship. People with ladies and guys and everything.
You gotta love yourself before you can love anybody else.
Exactly. All right, Docky, you ready?
I'm ready, man. Ready. Are you starting the timer?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, go.
Going back to the NFL draft.
Oh, here we go.
Today is the day. And this is a day that had me excited for the youth of my life. Now that I'm in probably the halfway point to the middle ages of my life, the draft still excites me, but all the hype around it does not. To me, when everybody's talking about Jadeveon Clowney and the stuff that he's going through, does he have a good motor? That is the knock on every defensive lineman that comes out of the draft. Does he have a good motor? J.J. Watt is the only player I've seen come out of the draft from Wisconsin that had a tremendous motor, and he's a once-in-a-lifetime type of player. Jadeveon Clowney is a talent. Jadeveon Clowney, after his freshman year, probably could have been a top 3 pick. After his sophomore year, probably could have been the first pick in the draft. And today, he most likely will be the number 1 pick in the draft. Let's not forget, while Jadeveon Clowney was taking plays off because I think he was scared of getting hurt, his teammate last year, Marcus Lattimore. Lattimore would have been the number 1 running back taken in last year's draft. He gets hurt, doesn't get drafted to the 4th round, loses millions of dollars. Let's be real, people. He didn't play as hard as he could because he was scared of getting hurt.
Harsh words from a very harsh man.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, people, let's be real. I know we're getting close to out of time, but let's be real. If your teammate loses countless millions of dollars because they got hurt playing football, would you try your hardest or would you protect yourself from getting hurt?
Good point.
I mean, the number one pick is $22 million guaranteed. And we also have to remember that people told Jadeveon Clowney not having to play his junior season. Just sit out, and he'll still be the number 1 pick. It's hard out here for a pimp.
It's hard to pay rent.
All
right.
Western Union, if you need it.
Western Union. I will take donations if you guys want to start a needs to pay his rent donation.
Man, tell your brother to stop buying creatine.
But that's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back here next Thursday. This was a fun show. Hopefully Henry will be back.
Just the 2 of us.
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
It was lonely today, bro. It was lonely.
Smell bacon. That smells good. Makes me want to go and get some Subway again. Oh, Subway, sponsor me, man. I promote you guys so much. Every time that we're done with this, I always say, man, I feel like some Subway. You guys should just, all I want is for me to be able to say, hey, I'm sponsored by Subway, and maybe give some people some discounts and be like, yo, you mentioned Livin's name, you get a free, 2-inch sub. Just give it.
a 2-inch sub, though?
Yeah,
a 2-inch sub.
Just something, because let's be honest, Subway, okay? Your little commercials with these bum athletes or whatever, really there's only one athlete there that's actually producing, and that is Blake Griffin. All right, let's be honest. So, just saying. And who was that girl in that commercial anyways? That freaking Olympian? Get out of here. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. For Dawkins, I'm Lynn 510, and we'll be back here next week, 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, and 3:30 Pacific Time. I will be on PlayStation in a little bit, and good luck with the draft. to everyone, fans, everything. Hopefully Manziel does not mess up your organization too much.
He needs to go to the Jaguars. I'm just saying.
Long live Bridgewater. Come home. Just come home, Bridgewater. Just come on home.
Get drafted by Chicago. That'll work out.
Live 5-0.